What's up, everyone? Welcome to Mythic Conversations. Happy New Year. Thank you all for joining me this evening. We're going to have a great show, the first show of 2023. And of course, if you saw my post earlier today, when I was thinking, what am I going to do for this show? Who am I going to bring on? I went big. I brought on someone who I love talking to. I'm really looking forward to just having a conversation tonight about Legions, about the past year, about the new year coming up, about customizing and the changes we've seen in the customizing hobby. So of course, I reached out to my good friend, the Wolf King himself. Let me bring him right up, Len LaGuardia. Len.
Hey everybody.
Awesome, everyone. So we've got a lot of people that are in the chat already. Curtis saying two of my favorite people on tonight. Thank you very much. Joe Vassapolo saying Cookie's friend Len is here.
That's me.
That's you.
I'm everybody's friend. Everybody's friend.
Everybody's friend. Joe saying this is the calm before another shipping storm. Yep, we're going to have a lot more coming in soon before you know it.
Keep them busy.
Time to talk about the expanded LegionsCon 2023 customizing room. It's actually a good point. I will admit that we were hoping to have information about LegionsCon 2023 available by the new year. We're a little bit behind where we wanted to be. It's no secret why. It's we're making a big investment this year. We want to grow. Last year, as you know, Len, we ran out of vendor space pretty early on, and then we sold out the hotel. We sold out the tickets. We want 2023 to be a bigger event. We want to be able to accommodate more people and more vendors. So to find the right place is a bit of a challenge, and we've got some exciting things in the works, though. I'm really, really hoping to be able to announce something in the next few weeks. And one of the things I know that you and I have talked about, Len, is exactly what Maverick was just saying, an expanded kind of customizing room and experience led by Wolfgang Customs. That had to be a highlight of this past year for you.
Oh, yeah. It was awesome. Yeah, I just want to go even bigger this year. Just big. We need more room, more people involved. It was great. More experts, right? It was so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely one of my highlights. I think, talking to the people that were in that room, they got a lot out of it. But just talking to the experts that were there, we all got a ton out of it as well. It was really a lot of fun to be able to share to us what is basic knowledge about this line, but to see that recognition in people's eyes and to know that we just turned some additional people on to the customizing side of Legions.
Yeah, that was so cool. It was because I didn't have a group of people I was helping, right? Like I was kind of overseeing from the sideline. I got to take a backside approach to see like what was going on. And that was one of the things that I really thought was cool, was seeing people like David Williams and you and Curtis, like, and Patrick Boyle helping like one or two people one-on-one and really like working close with someone to be like, this is how you do it. And it was just so cool. It was just, it was really cool to see that kind of like mentorship going on. I can't wait to do it again.
And let's be honest, that whole experience is so indicative of Wolfgang Customs and your approach to this community. You've said multiple times that, doing things to do, whether it's giveaways or experiences like that. The fact that it, raises up and elevates the recognition of the hobby, that benefits everybody that's involved in this, all 3D printers, all custom creators, and of course the line itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's what we're all here for. We're building a community of people, right? And the better things we do for each other, the better the whole community. So let's just all like treat each other the way we want, to be treated ourselves. I love it.
Joe Vassapolo saying, I made a mistake not going to that breakout room. So Joe, he has to be on the list of experts for next year or this year.
Oh, absolutely. I think Joe was busy. He
Yeah.
had he had something particular he was doing. And it's crazy because Joe, of all people, kind of inspired that room, and he didn't know it. I told him later when we were at RetroCon. Joe was there, and obviously Joe was there with the studio, and he was doing his Joe thing. But
Yeah.
he had some customs on our displays that he was showing people, and they were awesome. And people would come and look at them and be like, oh, this is so cool. And I saw Joe talking to them and being like, this is how you do it. And they were like, oh, really? And his line, he didn't even realize, he kept saying to everyone, you can do it too. So that was like his answer to, this is awesome, man. You're so talented. And Joe was like, humble. No, you can do it too. And this is how. And that inspired me to be like, yeah, you can do it too. Like, let's do this room. Let's make this breakout happen where we can show people that you can do it. Right. I mean, it's cool.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I've done that at shows for years where I think about ZoloCon last year, right? Where I was right at that corner between kind of the Wolf King and the horse, and I had a display of figures, and people would come up and they'd say, because people were like looking at the length of the line, going, "What is this all about?" And oh, have you ever heard of Mythic Legions? Let me explain it to you. And I'd show them, and I had Malleus. I remember it was Malleus. I'd pull that apart and I'd show them. And you're right, to see that recognition and have them say, like, wow, this is so cool. I've never seen anything like it. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about one of the ideas you had to improve the breakout room, to grow the breakout room, is something I'd love to be able to do this year, because we still are planning LegionsCon. We're still figuring out what it's going to shape up like. But one of the things we have said is the breakout sessions, we're going to do them a little bit differently in 2023. We're going to announce them so everyone knows that what's going on. We're going to have fewer of them. And we're going to make them more hands-on, because those hands-on experiences, those are really the ones that people seem to enjoy the most. So one of the ideas you had was doing like a day one breakout where people, do some like the build system like you did, where they break stuff apart and they figure out how things work and what 3D parts are. And then pairing that session from day one, say, okay, bring these back tomorrow. And we're going to have some painters that are going to show you some basics about painting and stuff like that. So they can really get that whole pop and swap building aspect, and then some basic painting tips on day two.
Yeah, I think that'd be so great to pair up with someone, a couple people, and really make it a 2-day type thing. It'd be really cool. And I think, if people can come and be spectators, especially for the paint one session, they don't have to maybe be involved, but they can watch. I think they could get a lot from that too.
100%. Absolutely. And it'll be nice to have a more focused type session that they won't be having to decide where they want to go and feeling like they're missing out on something. Yeah, so very excited for that. Like I said, keep your eyes open. We're going to have information on that before you know it.
Awesome.
So how's the new year going for you so far, Len? We just started. It's only the 4th.
It's only the 4th. It's busy. Yeah, it's oddly busy for me because I have like these with my real work with the screen printing apparel stuff I do. And not that Wolfgang isn't real, because it's very real, but you know what I mean? Like my full 100%. I have this odd deadline time where like I have these jobs that are due now. So like I hit the ground running right after Christmas. So I just delivered the last of them today, so I'm like gonna take
Nice.
a breath tomorrow and kind of look at some more the Wolfgang stuff. That's why I've been a little inactive on social media like since the holiday time because it's actually oddly busy. So yeah.
Did you see the post? Get a little controversial here.
All right, let's do
Did
it.
you see the post? I had to not reply to it. That someone posted about why would 3D companies not just always make stuff in stock?
I did, and I
And
did.
it
I
was an
did it.
interesting post
Yeah,
because Wolfgang Customs, I mean, you and I have worked together as part of Wolfgang Customs since the very beginning. Going on what, a couple years now.
yep.
And when we first opened up, it was just we would do a sale drop. It would be a limited amount of items. It would be, you at first it was only the new items that were being offered. And then we started trickling some of the, previous stuff back in. The popularity of the Kitsune made it so we would offer those in every single drop. But you finally got to the point last year where you changed the business model a little bit. Now you're open 24/7 and you have a full inventory of products. There's a limited amount of these products, exactly all behind
Mhm.
you. But it was interesting to see that comment and a bunch of people talking about it and lending their 2 cents. And it seemed like most of the people, honestly, all the people I saw commenting are people that don't run 3D printing shops.
Right.
So I don't think they really know what goes into actually doing this.
Right, exactly. Or you know, the breadth of like products and not all the shops are the same. Like everyone does have their own
Yep.
unique model,
Yep.
right? Like some people don't print. There's third party companies that are selling things that they're not printers, they're artists.
Legion
There's
shop.
ones right, there's ones that are selling made to order. So like you
Yep.
place the order and they make it.
Yep.
And there's ones that do the pre-order like way we always did it, right? In the beginning, like Wolfgang was always doing the pre-order. And then there's ones that are just in stock inventory. I don't
Yep.
know. Is there other in stock inventory, like 100% in stock? There could be. I don't know. I don't want to sound braggadocious, but I don't think anyone has 300 inventory items in
Yeah.
stock. But it was tough. It took almost what 3 years to
Yeah.
build
Took a
it.
while.
So someone can order something now, and I can go into the cases, pick it, and send it tomorrow. Like
Yeah.
that's not now. Legion Shop does right, but you're running a different model like than other people too. So
Yes, we have stuff in stock. Anything that's on the website, nothing's pre-order, it's all in stock. But I mean, our challenge, so you do your printing. So when you do a run of something and you print some extras, you put it into inventory so you have that available. That's one of the things with a lot of 3D printers is this is still a hobby for most people. Most people that are in this community that are doing this, it's a fun side thing they're doing because they love the line and they want to contribute to it. But that's always a challenge where you jokingly said your real job. Well, that's true for so many creators where when life gets busy, when the job gets busy, when they have less time for the hobby, they have less time for 3D sculpting, 3D printing, etc.
yeah,
So,
exactly. I mean, right now, I mean, at this exact point in time, because what I discussed before, where I was very busy, like post the day after Christmas with this job. I have to ship tomorrow everything from New Year's. Like, so I process them, they're ready to go, but I haven't had time to like actually get them in the mail.
yeah, yeah,
So like there's orders now that I had to kind of put on hold because I've been pretty good with 1 to 2 day. We say like 2 to 3 day,
yeah.
turn to get them out. But like, yeah, I mean, I had to take a little extra time, but everyone's pretty generally cool. No one
Oh yeah.
complains. I've never had, and no one's sending me emails saying, "Where's my stuff?"
Well, a lot of work goes into it too, because I mean that's one of the things that I've always thought has set Wolfgang apart is the amount of R&D that you do on these parts. Um, you are you are a Legions collector. You are a Legions fanatic. So when a part is designed and, you know, the artist said, oh, I imagine this going on the Dark Templar Legion builder. You've got a Dark Templar Legion builder. You've got all these figures. You can pull that figure out, pop it apart, put on the new pieces to make sure that the fit is what you want, and you can make adjustments and dial it in, go back and forth with the artist. That's one of the things as well, as I'm not a printer myself. So, you know, so much of this stuff that I now know is from working with you and then subsequently working with other printers and artists as well. But a lot of time goes into doing it right. A lot of time.
A lot of time, and sometimes that's to, you know, the detriment of the model, like getting out in a timely manner. You know, as far as like, I hate to use the word, but like a competition where someone might get something out before you
Mhm.
because you're taking extra time to make sure it's right.
Yep.
And that sometimes that's like frustrating because you know, of all people, we've had
Yep.
some models that take months and months
Yep.
to get
Yep.
out.
I used to be much more concerned about that. I will admit there was a point where, you know, you'd have something in mind and somebody else would get out something similar before you could get yours out. And it used to really bother me because I knew how long we've been working on it. And you almost like you don't want to put out yours because you don't want to, you know, take away from the other person who just put theirs out. But at the same thing, you don't want people to think that you're copying them, that, you know, you're coming in like, oh, that's cool, I want to do it. I mean, we've both had people do that to us, and it's not thrilling. We don't enjoy it, so we've never wanted to do that to somebody else. But along the same lines, you are putting a lot of time into this. You want to get it out. You want fans to enjoy it as well. That bothers me way less these days than it used to. I don't know. I
I
don't know
agree.
why. I don't know
Yeah.
what shifted, but it does.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that you can't have that mentality anymore because it's almost like everything's going to be,
Yeah.
I hate to say the word copied because sometimes that's not the case, but
Yeah.
like everything's going to eventually be out from someone. As
Yep.
long as everyone's taking kind of a different twist on it, that's cool. But like, yeah, you can't drive yourself really crazy with it, you know.
You
But
can't.
there's definitely a time when you know, we really did try, and I tried really hard not to like step on other people's things, you know, like as far as,
Yeah.
oh, I'm doing the same project and
Yeah.
and it's coming out, but
Yep.
eventually I just kind of wait, you know.
Yeah. Well,
There-
you look. You did that recently. That kind of like Aztec type warrior. You
yeah,
know, that was something that you worked on years ago, and you know, there was a kit put out. I think Jason Rodriguez did a kit like that. Um, you know, and you had shown yours, and then he put his out, and you made the decision. You were like, "Well, I don't want to follow up and take away from that. There's already one out there in the market. You know, I'm going to hold mine back." And I mean, you just released that finally recently, and it ended
yeah,
up being better because between then and now, you refined the model and how you were going to print it and how the feathers were going to work. And, you know, the end result of what you came up with was one that you liked even more than what you would have put out originally.
right. Yeah, I ended up being much happier with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, another case, you know, exact case was, I'm gonna forget his name. What's the name of the scary guy from Clash of the Titans? They used to give me
Calibos.
nightmares. What is it?
Calibos?
Calibos. So yeah, if you remember, I
Yep.
was working on a head very similar, like a tribute type head
Yeah.
to that. Totally never showed it to anyone, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't even know if you saw it. Like I don't. It was just one of those down projects that I was like, I wanted something similar.
Yeah.
And then another printer came out with one, like out of nowhere, just
Yeah.
chance. It just happened, and I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, like it's the same. And I like him, and he has cool stuff, and I'm like, you know, I'll just wait, and I did, and it
Yeah.
was cool, you
Yeah.
know. But like that's, you know, that's kind of like my mentality on it. I'm not gonna like, you know, there's no reason to split it all up like that, or to split up like everyone's interest. You know, I don't mind holding something.
So we got Curtis here saying, reminder, Corn Boy is on Shooting the Shelf Sunday with me and Jesse. If anyone has any Corn Boy questions you need answered, let us know. So Len, my question for you is, Do you take responsibility for the absolute juggernaut that you've created in Curtis Ackerman?
Well, you just implied I created him
You
in your
did.
question. You're questioning me on whether I take credit, but you implied that I did. I can't take credit for that wonderful man. He's
You.
just it's just a natural like charisma that is propelling him to
I
the
feel like
peak.
I feel like Wolf King gave him that little taste, that little opening, and he just grabbed onto it. He was able to shine, and now he is infiltrating every corner of the Legion's universe.
Oh, I thought I just saw him coming through the door.
That's who walked behind me earlier.
Was that who it was? Yeah, I mean, you what do you do when you have such a wonderful person? He can't be held back. It's like it's people want a piece and they just want him on their media because the guy's awesome. I mean, look at those eyes. You can't deny it.
Cookie says it's Curtis's world. We just live in it.
That's true, Cookie. By the way, buddy, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Curtis says, "Hey, Cookie, happy birthday."
That's never going to get old.
It is not. I love that. That's one of my favorite little inside jokes that everybody knows at the studio, apparently. Okay, so other stuff going on. 2022. So just today, I posted a recap on Source Horseman, kind of a look back at the past year. I did obviously my show before the new year about the recap. What are some of the highlights of the past year, the Legion's, kind of year that you had in 2022?
Oh, that's man. It was there was just so much. I mean, I feel like I'm repeating what everyone's saying, but like from ZolaCon, like really
That's
was
one of
your
mine.
kicker, right? So like, you got to come spend time with us, which was awesome. So
That was my first week of employment. Remember?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like, we
It was
have
my
this like
birthday.
awesome, yeah, we had, I had a sloppy sandwich and it was phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, we got to like have this incredible weekend with all of our friends. I mean, like Cookie, Anthony, Patrick, you were there, the studio was there, like, Joe, it was just
Steven.
it was Steven was there. I mean, come on, Steven came
Walter.
from
Yep.
Michigan. Like Walter
Yep.
was there from
Yep.
California. Like it was like it kicked off the year, so to
Yep.
say, like incredible. I don't want to skip over reinforcements, right?
Yep. I got to eat flan for the first time.
Yeah, because you had to. That was the only option. That's the only thing they could put a candle in.
Yep.
Couldn't put it in my sandwich, or else we'd blow the whole place up. The I mean, I
Dude,
have to
you
say,
went to a Mexican restaurant and ordered a Mexican sandwich. What did
I
you
do that
expect?
all the time. My wife laughs because I do it constantly. Like we'll go to a steakhouse and I'll get chicken, and then I'll complain because it's horrible. She just knows me so well. She's like, she wasn't surprised by the Mexican sandwich, and in the least.
Everyone's getting tacos and tacos, and you're like, "Oh, a sandwich."
It was funny.
Yeah, that was one of my highlights that whole weekend. That's going to be our first show this year, ZoloCon. We'll talk about ZoloCon 2023 in a little bit, but looking forward to that. So yeah, so I agree with you. That was absolutely one of mine. What else you got?
I skipped over reinforcements dropping, right? Because that was
Yep,
in January.
that was January. Yep.
Yeah, and that was a lot of fun because
Yep.
that was awesome to get like another like shot of builders and ones that like I love and I'm like running
Yep.
out of because they're just like that was a really cool drop, really cool treat. Awesome.
Yep. Yep.
ZoloCon, and then what was after that? I think
Well, you mentioned reinforcements, so I do have to mention something. Actually, we forgot about Greg. Greg was there as well at the
yeah.
tacos.
Greg just came from a near-death experience, I think.
Yeah, yeah, it's what he said. He said he was on a diet back then.
He was, I
Um,
remember.
so I got a couple people. Did you see Pete McCarthy post about Muskegon today?
Absolutely did.
So Pete posted, for those who didn't notice, Muskegon is an event. It's happening on March 11th in Muskegon, Michigan. This is hosted by Pete McCarthy. Forestman Studios are going to have a presence there. Pete announced today that it would actually be Cornboy and Jim that are going to be going out there.
That's a party.
That is a party. And he also announced that the single carded versions of the Furious 4 figures will be for sale at the show. So I got a number of people that reached out to me saying, "Oh, that means Reinforcements is here." And I was like, "Whoa, why? Like they're not the same thing." So let me just
because Sir Gerard came with Reinforcements.
Let me clear up a few misconceptions.
Everyone's an expert.
The standard LegionsCon figures are produced at the same time as the show LegionsCon figures. They've actually been at the studio for a while now. So it's not like we did the first run and then have to do a second run. They were all done at the same time. Last year, we dropped Reinforcements, and when we dropped them, we had the Sir Gerard figures that needed a date to be released, and we just said, hey, let's throw them in with Reinforcements. That doesn't mean that standard Legions cons will always be tied to Reinforcements. That's not the case at all. It just happened to work out that way in 2022. So a number of people were like blowing up my phone asking me, does this mean Reinforcements are here? But no, the two of them are completely not connected. But yes, some of the standard LegionsCon Furious 4 figures will be going to Muskegon because thematically it just makes a lot of sense, right?
Absolutely. It only fits. It only fits.
It
I will announce this too. I confirmed this before the show that Wolfgang will have a presence at Muskegon also.
It won't be you.
Unfortunately it won't be me, but it might as well be me. And it's not going to be just like a half-assed attempt at doing something. Like we'll have a full presence there.
Nice. Awesome.
Definitely.
Very cool.
I wish I could be there, but it's a little far. I don't know if I could take that much car time.
I would love to go. I really wanted to go. Unfortunately, with Toylanta being 2 weeks later and that being such a big undertaking that I'm going to be involved in, you kind of got to pick and choose and everything. Muskegon is only a 1-day show. So for me, it is quite, it's even further than the guys in New Jersey for me to get there. So again, you got to pick and choose, but you will have Cornboy and Jim at the show, plus a whole bunch of cool stuff. And obviously the My Wife Is Gonna Kill Me crew and the whole,
Michigan Mafia.
Michigan mob that's over there. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
So one of my highlights for 2022 was 100% Figure Obscura. I love Mythic Legions. I'm so excited for Cosmic Legions, but I can't hide it. I am most excited for Figure Obscura. Something about this line just has me so pumped.
Yeah, I know. You love it.
I do. So getting two Figura figures. I mean, I love it.
You want to know if I love it?
What's up?
Do you want to know if I love it?
Yes. Do you love Figure Obscura as much as I love Figure Obscura?
I will say right now, I don't love it as much as you love it because I don't think that's possible. But I definitely love it. I mean, what's not to love? Again, I'm just saying what's been said a million times. So Krampus was like that initial, like, it was a little Legion-y, like it could have been Mythic-y, but like with Santa and Headless, like that just crossed the barrier to like, if it's something that my family, like my wife, will look at and be like, oh, that's cool. Like that's different because she doesn't care about Legions in any way. She thought that like Santa was really nice. Like that was cool. So like, yeah, it's really fun to see that.
Yeah, I've said this before, but the whole way that we do it with, the surprise reveal, the in-stock items, all the lore around it. Not for nothing, Nate Barch mentioned this when he was on my show. I have a chat on my phone that's Nate myself, Eric, and Chris, that is
Ooh.
just magic. Like it
Oh, I
is,
can only imagine. Oh, well.
it's absolutely magic because the amount of creativity and stuff that gets thrown around in that one chat thread is absolutely amazing. And a lot of it, because Nate does so much work art wise with Figure Obscura, a lot of the a lot of the most exciting aspects of that chat have been Figure Obscura. So yeah, I'm that was a highlight. Seeing that line grow in 2022, that was definitely one of my highlights for the year.
Yeah, it's an awesome line. It's phenomenal. Like it's and I can't wait to see where it goes. That's the thing that I look at with it, that the potential for it is very high.
I will tell people I know what's coming in the new year, of course. People are going to be surprised. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really like Headless Horseman was so well received. Seeing that figure get on a number of top 10 lists for the new year. I know you're loving all these top 10 lists.
Oh, give me all them top 10 lists. It's like I could just oh yeah. I love it.
But seeing him get that recognition has been great. But I even said this at the time of the release, that wasn't a surprise for most people. Like so many people after Krampus, when they realized this was a line, I saw lots of people suggesting Headless Horseman because the parts were clearly there.
Yeah.
I think there's gonna be some excitement and some surprises in the new year.
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, uh-oh.
Any other things stick out in your mind for the past
Um
year?
I'm purposely skipping LegionsCon because
Yeah,
that's obvious. I mean,
yeah,
that's kind of like, you know, going I guess going live with the inventory was pretty intense. Like that was a different experience. So that was a good experience because all of a sudden you're showing the world like what you have. And it was kind of funny, like I because it was very clear to me that like when I didn't know how many total products there were, I knew that everyone else was going to be a little shocked.
yeah,
So I have like my close circle of people I talk to, and like even like Patrick, he's my good friend, and like he knows a lot of like what we have, and he's like the parts wizard, right? And there was stuff that even he was like, uh, either he forgot about it, or he was like, what the hell's that? And because there's so many things that got
yeah,
released at one big time that it
yep,
was just fun to see.
yep,
And it's still fun to see because I'll sell something now that like I know I haven't sold in a while, and people will be like, oh, that's awesome, or they'll post it, and people will be like, well, what's that from? And I'll be like, oh, it's from 3 years ago.
yeah. There's a lot of old models that when you see them there, you're like, oh my goodness, I forgot about that. But that's such a cool piece. And what's interesting too is when you revive some of those models, what what they could be used for when they were released, it's so different now because we have so many new releases that a piece that made sense in one way back 2 years ago, you may have totally different ideas of how you could use it today with the new figures and parts that you now have access to.
Oh yeah, and that's what's super exciting to see all the time. Like what pops in my head right away are the badgerine claws.
Yeah.
That we did. So though moderate seller,
Mhm,
awesome part. Like when
mhm.
you get them and you see them and paint, they're awesome. They're so cool. But I always felt they were a little overlooked. And it's still like where they when they got released now in the full, like that they're available, I'll see people like buy them and post them and paint them and post them,
Yeah.
and you see all kinds of people being like, what are those are awesome, like where did they come from? And
Yeah.
meanwhile I'm laughing because they're like from how long ago, like
That was the second. So
second drop.
yeah, the second drop after the
Yeah.
Kitsune, we did the Badger, and then I realized I could paint a Badger like a Wolverine. And if you remember, I had Walter do the Badger, and then like totally right as it was being finished, we designed those hand claws, and we said, "Hey, can we do this so we can make a Wolverine, like a Marvel style Wolverine, but where he's actually a Wolverine?"
Yeah. It's awesome. And they're awesome pieces. They're so cool.
They're fun.
And it's just neat to see like the older things get
Yep,
appreciated now. And I
100%.
know a lot of that is because there's so many new people coming into the line, right? Like
Yeah. Yep.
the environment's totally different than what it was 3
Yep.
years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago. And it's so cool to see people find like these old parts or these parts that we haven't and just like bring them, I don't want like almost new life. There
Yep.
that's a lot of fun. So yeah, that was another highlight, like putting that full at the time, what 260 like SKU inventory
Yeah.
online. It was cool. Like so
Yeah.
that was definitely like
That's a
that was a
highlight for
highlight.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Couple comments here. Eric Miller is in the chat, and Eric says he's actually hoping to have a booth at Muskegon also, which would be very, very cool as well.
Cool.
Makes me even more envious that I won't be there.
Yeah.
Albert is saying, I've officially fallen to the mythic and cosmic black hole. Since I'm new to the line, can you tell me how often we'll get reissues on popular animal figures? So welcome to the line. As far as reissues go, the only time we do reissues are part of All Stars. And to date, there have never been any of the mounts that have been offered in All Stars, largely because they've been newer. The first mounts came out in the Aerotheer wave, and really we haven't gotten that deep into the line when it comes to the voting. So whether you're going to see reissues or new versions, like different versions of characters that use similar parts, we'll have to actually see. Let's see what else here. Mindless Focus says, who else is ready for Wolfgang Cosmic parts? I mean, that's something that when we get to start talking about 2023, I want to definitely pick your brain about, because Cosmic is one of the things I'm most excited for.
Yeah. I'm a like pre Legions and my Mythic like conversion. I wasn't a big like swords and sandals type of guy. I like Lord of the Rings and those type of like, that media, but I wasn't like a Dungeons and Dragons, and it didn't like at first appeal to me as
Yeah.
much as it did. I was very into like the more outer space things, like that's always been like a genre sci-fi that I love.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely like incredibly pumped for Cosmic. As I know, Jeremy, I recently got the Spacemen, the 4-inch Spacemen,
Yeah.
and they're
So
oh my
cool.
gosh, so cool. They're like the coolest things. I'm so happy that I got those, and they're awesome. Like and if it's like a little like hint of the like of what's to come, I know they're different, but it's just
They're super
I
cool.
can't wait. It just makes me more excited.
So wrapping up 2022, I mean, like you said, LegionsCon, absolutely incredible. One of my highlights for the year was actually PowerCon. And it's interesting because PowerCon and LegionsCon, obviously they have so much in common. LegionsCon, from a Legion standpoint, is clearly much larger. But one of the nice things for me personally at PowerCon is I'm not running the show. So I had more time, even though I was incredibly busy at PowerCon. I had a lot more time to actually take a breather and enjoy the experience. We spent a lot of time with some very, very cool people after hours at PowerCon. And it being my first experience at PowerCon, that was definitely a highlight for me. In addition to, I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't mention becoming a full-time employee of the studio this year. The time that I've been able to spend at the studio, hanging out with people like Joe, hanging out with Bill, those are absolutely incredible. Cookie, I hang out with Cookie a lot when I go to the
Yeah, don't
studio.
forget my friend Cookie.
I cannot forget your friend Cookie. So those are all highlights of my past year. Very, very much.
Oh, I bet. I mean, yeah, I can't even imagine. I know just the glimpse I got of that, Toy Wonderland when I went to G-Con was phenomenal. You know, I didn't really get to see everything, like not everything. I don't mean
Yeah,
behind the scenes, but I didn't get that like big feel because I was late. And
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it's got to be fun to go there.
ah, it is. 2023. So let's look ahead. We've talked about some of the things that happened. Um, Obviously, you don't know all the secrets. You don't know everything that's coming, but you know some of the things that are coming. You know some of the waves that are going to hit this year that have been pre-ordered. You know some of the things that have been rumored and teased. What are you excited for in this coming year?
Oh, I am like totally pumped for reinforcements in a week. What are you laughing at? It's January.
So everyone is genuinely expecting us to drop reinforcements in January, right?
Yeah, it's January, right?
When do we ever do things that are totally predictable? When do we ever do that?
I don't know. I don't know. You messed with my all stars, giving me all stars plus. How dare you give me more stuff in a wave?
That that's a good one to bring up. That change to the All Stars, like kind of experience, or the way we did it, that was a huge success. I mean, it's no secret that that's going to continue with this year's All Stars. We teased at the end of G-Con that Necronominus would continue into All Star 6. I did hear on the Legion's Lounge show those guys mentioned that we said it would be quarter 1. We actually did never say that. We never did say that. We didn't mention when it would be. We did just say that All Star 6 would be a continuation of Necronominus. So that whole plus model will be what we're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, that's because because I got to experience the Necronominus wave and
Yeah.
see that at GCon. That does make it really special. Like, I'm of course I'm excited for All Stars 5, Cosmic, everything that's going to come this year, but getting to see that like as in reality in front of you, like it really makes you more excited.
Yeah.
So I know that's not going to be this year. Like we're going to see Poxus. Poor Poxus. I almost forgot about Poxus.
Dude,
I feel like I always forget about poor Poxus.
Fox's wave. How is it that one of the Horseman waves is flying under the radar the way Poxus is?
Because it is. I
It's just
don't know why I keep forgetting. But
it's flying under the radar. But that wave, oof, that wave is going to hit. I did hear on Legion's Lounge this week, Billy Beige was on, and he said that he was really looking forward to the Poxus wave. He really wants Tharnog, the big ogre scale brute, or orc scale brute, I should say. Brute scale orc. That's what I meant to say. Um, yeah, that I'm excited for that. You mentioned Cosmic. That's got to be one of my most anticipated pieces this year. Obviously at the studio, we've been living with Cosmic. I mean, Cosmic 1 was solicited in September 2001. Okay.
yeah.
But think about how long we were living it prior to that. You know, all of 20, there was, I don't know if we've ever said this, but there was a point that we considered doing Cosmic in 2020.
Wow.
Everything with the pandemic really changed around some plans, but there was a schedule in 2020 that actually had Cosmic Legions 1 on it. Now, all the sculpts weren't done, everything wasn't fleshed out, but there was definitely talk about Cosmic Legions, or at the time it was called Galactic Legions, actually.
Oh wow.
So there was definitely a point for that. So we've been living with it for so many years now, and it's crazy to think that fans don't have them in hand yet. Now, this is my first show that I've done since the announcement was made, but the other day there was an announcement made that there had to be a shift in the schedule. Cosmic is head to toe new tooling. There's a lot of new parts on that. Building this library, needing to make sure that everything fits the way it should. You got to take your time. You got to do it right. So unfortunately, we're coming up on that point with Chinese New Year, where if you don't get stuff shipped by Chinese New Year, there's about a month where very little is happening at the factory level. So then stuff has to ship after. So we had to make the decision. We realized that it was looking like we weren't going to get the stuff shipped before Chinese New Year. So we made some changes and we moved actually All Stars 5 up in the schedule since it needed no new tooling. That is scheduled to ship, barring any delays, right before Chinese New Year. And then Cosmic will be finished and shipped shortly after Chinese New Year. So the be all end all is we will have Cosmic figures in hand this year, finally. I cannot wait for that.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. At RetroCon that we did in September, they it was a little slower of a show, but it gave us the opportunity to see the prototypes like hands on.
Yep.
Cookie's friend Bill took us and like opened up the cabinet and let Steve and I like really see the prototype, and he was like pointing out like details that even in the amazing photography that Trevor did, you didn't see, like different like things. And it's just, I'm so excited for people to see that. I think it's going to really blow their mind, like to really get them in hand.
Yeah.
And really it's not the same because a lot of like with Mythic, it's a lot of parts, right, that we've had. So you really know, you kind of get a feel for what things are going to be. Obviously with some of the newer waves, that's different. There's surprises, but I think Cosmic's going to be fun to really see what that like reaction is with the hands on.
Everyone that's held the Cosmic figures and really held them and played with them, it's funny because I've seen a lot of people say, you know what to expect with these. If you know Mythic Legions, you know what to expect. But then people that know Mythic Legions pick up those test shots and play with them, and they're like delighted. They're like, wow, these move so well. These are so much fun. And a big part of it is Mythic Legions started with all those traditionally sculpted pieces. We're still living, look at the Necronominus wave. We just rebuilt the knight and the skeleton body. All the knights and skeletons we've really been using up until this point are built off of that initial, parts that were conceived. I mean, Eric sculpted those well over 10 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
So the great thing about Cosmic is these are all brand new figures, digitally sculpted. And one thing we've talked about a lot with Cosmic is we have learned so much in the years since Mythic has been out, and Cosmic is benefiting from that. And this is from a sculpting standpoint, production standpoint, packaging standpoint, marketing standpoint, all of these things that go into the line, we've kind of cut our teeth a little bit, which is crazy to say that for a studio that's been around for over 20 years. But the success of Mythic is unlike anything the studio's ever seen. We learned so much from that, and all of that Cosmic benefits from all of that learning. So even though people think they know what to expect when they get these in hand, I really think they're going to be just blown away and delighted.
Oh, I agree 100%. On the personal level, like that's one of the things I've expressed to you as being Wolfgang. The custom shop, I have a hard time like visualizing what to do with that, right? Because it's so different. Like I need to have that in hand to really get some good ideas, to get the juices flowing, and like obviously, yes, we can get some heads on them, we can do this, but anything to get like crazy creative, like I feel like I need to have it. Yeah. Like I need to have it, feel it, play with it, and then start like kind of fleshing out ideas on them. That's just my feeling, like the simple stuff obviously is going to be, we already have some things in the works.
Sure.
I'm personally sculpting some things like on my own that I want to do.
Yep.
So spoiler alert, they're heads, anything else, like I just feel like I have to have them, know.
I think it makes sense. And I think that, if I look at the state of Mythic Legions customizing right now, if I'm being totally honest, I think it's slowed down a bit. I think that there's still a lot of us who have been doing it for a while who are, still enthused and excited and pumping out customs. But even I've heard, some longtime customers say that, they've had their bouts of not being really inspired and having to re-energize a little bit, which is very common. Any artist is going to have that in any medium from time to time. Um, but I will say that I'm seeing, I would say, less people jump into the customizing side of the hobby than we did early on. Um, I feel like Cosmic is going to change that in a few ways. I think it's going to bring in a whole new group of people, and that's inevitably going to have some customizers. But I think that a lot of people that have been working with the same kind of parts for 7 years now are really going to be enthused about this new universe that they're suddenly going to be able to play around in.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that's going to benefit the fastest growth will be from what we know and love, the pop and swap.
Yep.
Like, yeah, the 3D parts, but okay, but the pop and swap is where it's at, and like
Sure.
I think that's going to be really cool because people are going to get these things in hand and be like, what can I do? Like,
Sure.
and that's going to be really neat to see.
Well, one of the things that I think is fun, Eric has said time and time again that Cosmic Legions is not, orcs in space. It's not, Atlas in space. That was never the idea. This was not like, hey, let's take all the races that we know from Mythos and do a cosmic spin on them. This is its own property. It's its own set of rules. It's its own set of characters and races. They're not, you're not going to see, just because orcs are in one doesn't mean in the other or something like that. By doing that, it makes Cosmic feel fresh and unique and original, but it also allows pop and swaps to do those things, to say, like, hey, you know what? I want a space orc. I want a space Magnus. I want a space
Absolutely.
knight. You can do all those things. You can
Yep.
absolutely do all those things. And you can do them and not really worry that you're going to spend a bunch of time doing something that's just going to come out later anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna see some wild stuff. Like
We are.
I'm very excited for that, and especially the mix pop and swap, like the mix line pops.
Yep.
It's, I mean, look what people just did with Santa Claus.
Yeah.
You give them Father Christmas, and we're seeing the cabal like flood it with these super creative Father Christmas pop and swap things that blows your mind, right? Like I'm seeing
Yeah.
people taking that base body of that 2.0, like elf type skin. They're using the bare arms to make
Mhm.
like character, like I think Billy Beige did it right with the Galadriel, and he's
Yep.
giving her bare arms. Well, I didn't think of that. That's
Yep.
awesome. Like,
Oh
so
yeah.
what, imagine what a whole wave of Cosmic's gonna do.
Yep.
It's like it's gonna blow your mind.
Yeah. When I saw Dorklair put the bare arms on the elf Legion
Wow.
builder,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, oh, that's perfect. Yeah. I mean, when I got Father Christmas, I kind of, that initial weekend when some people kind of pushed a little bit because it wasn't what they expected. It
Right.
wasn't Barbarian Santa. Um, I kind of almost took that as a challenge to show people all of the options in this figure. But very quickly, it turned from me wanting to prove a point to getting so enthused. I don't know if there's a figure in the line, with the possible exception of the Goblin Legion builder, that I've been more inspired to do customs from. And with the Goblin Legion builder, I just use that because it's a perfect base for critters.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
With,
knew where you were. Yeah.
with Santa, I mean, it was like I had so many ideas doing the Oak King and the Holly King and the Barbarian Santa, and all these different things that I did. Yeah, absolutely. I can only imagine with a figure like that and those kind of new parts inspiring so much creativity, what we're going to see once we get Cosmic.
Yeah. It's gonna be awesome. No doubt. Can't wait for that.
It'll be a lot of fun. Um, Anything else that you're looking forward to this year?
I mean, every line, everything is going to drop. Like, obviously, like that's kind of the obvious. There's nothing I'm not excited for. Um, Legion's Con,
Yeah,
like, come
that's
on, like, you can't like deny it. It was the epitome of community gathering for our world. Like, I mean, it was unreal. It's going to be hard to top, but it's going to be amazing. Like, I have a brief idea of like where it's going from some of our discussions, and I am just super excited for it. And I'm definitely like very blessed that it is, in New Jersey.
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie about it. Like, I that's where I am. So it makes it easier and convenient. But yeah, it's gonna be phenomenal. And
yeah.
it's
I'm
like you get to see all your friends again.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to ZoloCon. Um, Probably more than Toylanta, only because I know what to expect. Like
Sure.
Toylanta, is going to be a lot of fun, but it being a first time, there's a lot of what are we doing here, trying to figure out where you're going. ZoloCon, even though last year was the first time I had gone, obviously the studio's been there for years. So you're around people that know the area, they know what the experience is. But yes, getting to see, Anthony, how sealed out there, obviously you and Cookie and, everybody that's going to be out there, everyone that's going to come out to that show. Um, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to this year PowerCon. I mean, I love doing the events. That's something I really, really dig doing. Getting out at the events and meeting fans and talking to people. I'm super blessed that people come up to me and they tell me they enjoy the show, they enjoy the videos and stuff. So that's a huge part of my job satisfaction, and I'm looking forward to that this year as well.
Yeah, I love the shows. You know that. Even before, I mean, that's how I discovered
Yeah,
Mythic, and
yep,
everything was the show, and I've always just had a good time. They're a lot of fun, and it's mostly because the people you get to be with when you go to them. It's great, and it's going to be a fun year filled with that.
yep,
Definitely.
absolutely. So I know you have some stuff coming, some new stuff coming in 2023. I've got a couple images here. I mean, this isn't meant to be just a let's show off new stuff,
Me and you
um,
talk. Yeah.
but this was something that was shown very, very recently. Let me get the photo I want. Here we go. So this was something that was shown off that Steven just showed off. This is a new head and a new pair of pauldrons. This is not going up for sale yet, right?
No, no, it hasn't. Yeah, funny. This was going to be. There was a point when we were going to do kits for Legions Con.
Yep.
Like, we were like talking about just doing like a very like exclusive kit type of thing. And this was one that Steven was going to be his kit. And
Okay.
he drew it. He drew every part of it. And it's one of those things where it's amazing to see how awesomely interpreted the sculptor did it to his drawings, because it's
Yeah.
exactly what he drew. Skeleton, and he wanted the furry pauldrons for a lot of different reasons, because they could be used in a lot of different ways, and that was one that was, yeah, it was a lot of fun. So it was pretty much ready. It could have been ready in November, but it's a tough time from November to December, and it got kind of put on the wayside, but it's going to
Yeah.
be out soon.
And then it's good. This axe is being done too, as well, right?
Yeah, that was totally part of the kit too, and Steven drew that.
So
Um,
cool.
yeah, it's a really cool axe. Just another neat accessory to go with the kit, because we were looking to do things where it was like a multi-part.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. You also sent me something to show tonight that nobody has seen yet, right?
Nobody
Nobody
except
has seen it.
for maybe two or three people. And I'll tell you someone who hasn't seen it before. It's that Anthony O'Seal.
So should I show the unpainted first, or should I hit him with the painted?
Hit him with a paint.
Hit
It's
him with the painted.
beautiful. Yeah.
Uh, Up or down?
Do it up, I think.
So tell us about this.
All right, so I never saw. I have to admit, I like dwarfs. Uh, I do. I think they're fun. I think they're fun to customize. And I never saw I never saw a knight dwarf. Like most of the dwarfs I was always seeing were always like almost like a paladin type. And after G-Con, I was like really into like the whole knights, like basically your
Yeah,
knights, right? Like so like the Templars. And I was like, man, I really want to see like a dwarf knight. Like if a dwarf went like he decided he wanted to be a knight and he went to an armor smith and said, I want a helm. I don't want a helm with horns. I want like a real knight's helm. Like, how would that have to be constructed? How
sure.
would that have to look? And that's what we did. A really talented sculptor that I started working with, named Jorge Zapata, did this, and it was based on like some sketches and some concept art that we had, and I think he just really knocked it out of the park. It took a lot to like really figure out how we wanted to do that
Yeah,
the face shield. And yeah, it's a little bulky, but like it's a dwarf,
I like
so
it.
it's gonna be bulky, right?
Yeah, I like
And
that.
I wanted it to be realistic in a way that he could see through it, like so you can see the face through the openings,
Yeah,
and I wanted it to go up and down because
yep,
and then we went on the fact that it was going to clip. We were going to do like a clip system, so it
yep.
kind of clips on the side, so you can use it with or without. And it was kind of like a test to see how he could handle a dwarf, to do like a classic one style that I really like. I really gravitate towards. So he knocked it out of the park. I like it. Um, it kind of works really. It could work cool as like almost like a minor dwarf without the
Hmm.
shield. I
Hmm.
think people will really, I hope people dig it, and
Yeah,
I hope it's more to come of this type of look to it.
that's cool. Vasapolo saying, I like this and I want that visor on a Xylernian knight.
Yeah, already envisioning like I want to do some alt visors, maybe with like an animal
Yeah,
theme, like a boar or a pig or like something like that.
that's cool.
Where we could do like some figure out some way to do it, like sell it as a piece. I have to figure out how to get it out there, but I think that would be a cool thing. And I just think it's cool because like it's funny, even doing like image searches for dwarf knight, there's
Yeah,
nothing. There's like
yeah.
nothing where they put like a freaking dwarf, like a knight's helmet on a dwarf. Like you know, I guess they don't want to cover the beautiful face. I don't know.
I got one more to show here, showing kind of that side view where you can see how that flips up. Yeah, that's very cool. I like that.
Yeah, it was a fun project, and again, it's one that we're taking our time on. Like I'd rather take my time on it and have it right. I want that visor to be able to like stay in different positions, so I have to like we've been playing with a lot of like alterations to the way it fits. Like I don't want it to flop down if someone wants it at that point, which I like that like look where it's three
Mhm.
like a quarter of the way up. You could see his face, but you can still see the visor. And I want that to stay. Like, and then you have to factor in when paint gets involved, like how much is that going to change the tolerances?
Yep.
So, and the strength of the visor, because again, I need the piece to be thin, but not so thin that it's going to snap in half,
Sure. Sure.
but not so thick that it looks like a unrealistic piece of iron that would never
Yeah.
that would weigh down his head. And as a matter of fact, I mean, I sent some of the first ones I sent, I sent Curtis one and his broke like right away because it was too thin. And
Mhm.
now I'm using different. I have to use this really different resin formulation for it to give it more flexibility to get it to fit.
Very, very cool. So that's a couple things that you have coming, and that is one of the nice things. We talked about this because we had conversations at length about when you went full time. With the shop and it being open all the time and having full inventory. And that was one of the things we talked about being a nice advantage is the way that it used to be, where it was like you would do a sale drop and then everything would ship in like 4 to 6 weeks, which means sale drops were usually like 2 months apart.
Yeah.
So you were always kind of felt pressured to get parts included in a drop because if you didn't get it in this one, it was probably 2 months before you could get it out. So there was always that kind of last minute scramble to say, is it ready? Is it, there were times where we, were scrambling to get painted versions to show because, that's one of the things since the beginning is we really wanted to only sell stuff that we could show painted pieces of. We wanted people to see an example of how it could look. We didn't just want to show like the 3D render itself. We wanted to show printed versions of it, painted versions of it.
Absolutely. Yep.
And that was, there were times we were right up against the wire to make that happen. There were times we didn't. There were times where we only showed it unpainted because that's the best we could do. So going to this 24/7 has been really nice because you don't feel that pressure. When something's ready, you just drop it in.
Yeah. That's a big change. Like that's like world changing like type of situation where I almost feel like we can get more things out this way. Like you said, because we're not pressured to make these things work, right away. It's really given us the ability to drop things like on a random Friday, be like, hey, throwing some of these out and seeing what everyone thinks. It's so I mean that's that, and it gives me the more ability to do like R&D to play with things and get them right before they get out there.
Very,
Definitely.
very cool.
Yeah. It's
very cool. Anything else that you have in the works that I don't have pictures of it, but anything else in the works that you're chilling out, you're excited for?
Well, I mean, there's some stuff that's running right now that's pretty interesting. We have some like prototype things that I'm doing that are they're fun. Steven has 2 models coming really soon that I think are going to be really exciting for a lot of people. Emil just sent me, what's that?
Steven's complaining. He's saying, I remember you guys giving me 2 days to give you painted pics, and the parts were still in the mail on their way to me.
Yeah. That it was tough. I had to learn how to paint because there were things I had to like get paint on. But that's cool though, because that was like something that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like that was a goal to
Yeah.
say, we don't want to show like unpainted parts. We want to show them on figures. Like we want to show this part on a figure, paint it. This is what you can expect when you get it. This is how it's going to fit. This is how it's going to work. This is how it's going to look on the Mythic piece on your shelf, right? Like instead of like here's a guess. So I mean that's definitely like it got pretty stressful. It stressed me out, but it was fun. But no, I definitely Emil sent me just like yesterday like 3 different heads that are really cool. Like they're really cool. I think people are going to be pretty excited with them. Like I'm trying not to like I still have that like thing where like I don't want to spoil stuff, but if you like faces with expression, you're gonna dig these because they're very expressive.
So I'll spoil something. I've actually been a little quiet for a while. I haven't been working on a ton of new stuff. Obviously I was so busy with LegionsCon towards the end of the year. And really I have a couple parts like the weasels that we did still haven't come out with the announcement that the game figures are now shipping, or they're on the way, going to be on the way to the fulfillment center pretty soon. The weasels will finally be able to be released. But I haven't worked on a lot of new parts. So I'll give everyone a little bit of a teaser of what we're working on right now. So that my little trio that I work with, it's myself comes up with a lot of these ideas and designs. I work with Walter DeMarco of Mass Customs for the sculpting. Then I work with you, obviously, for the printing on all these critters. So I realized that one thing I've never done is I've never done a troll-sized piece, right? Thought that'd be a lot of fun, but I was like, what would I do as a troll? And if you're going to go big, thinking about big type of animals, of course, I thought about an elephant. So Walter and I are in the process right now of doing a troll-sized elephant head. still too early to say exactly what it's going to look like. It's you know, I want it to work with the troll body. So the troll body is not heavily armored. So I'm not imagining this to be heavily armored as well, but it'll have some stuff on it. I'm imagining maybe like removable tusks, both from a logical printing standpoint, but also because we can do different kinds of tusks and everything, different kinds of ears. But that's something that is just very early stage, but I'm pretty excited to get as
Yeah.
Jesse just said, a trollafont out.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we've discussed it, and it's definitely it's going to be cool. Like it's Walter is so talented, man. Like he's unbelievably talented with everything he does. So I am
Yeah,
like just excited to see what he does with something like that. You know, what he can come up with.
yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. And then I really do think that, you know, this influx of cosmics going to get me really really excited, as is a new, you know, we the new parts we got from the Alithia wave was like a shot in the arm. I think we're going to get that exact same feeling with Poxis once that arrives, and
Sure.
certainly a little further down Necronominus once that is here.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. Oh, you know what? I just something I don't want to overlook for 2023 is really excited. I get to work with Zombie 13.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? Eric Zombie is awesome. Like I've been working with him. Some people saw like the kit that we
Yep.
did. We
So
showed
cool.
it but didn't sell it at LegionsCon, and it's like that knight armor where it's not
Yeah.
I'm sorry, skeleton armor. It's not a skeleton, it's
Yep.
a knight armor that looks like skeleton. And Walter made the
Is it a
chest
chest
plate
plate?
plug in. It's a chest plate,
It's a
yes.
plug.
Yeah, so it
Yeah.
plugs into
Yep.
those
Yep.
torsos that take that, and it is amazing. And Jorge did the helm and the pauldrons, and we came up with like a really cool warhammer, like a very long one for that. And there's been a couple of those kits that we got out to people that to play with. I've been doing it now,
Mm-hmm.
just tester ones. We haven't been selling them, and I'm super stoked to do that because man, Zombie's like awesome. He's such a cool guy. He's genuinely like excited for this. He's been doing it for a long time, and
Yeah.
he's still excited for
Yeah.
doing it. He's got amazing ideas, and he's just really cool to work with, man. And I'm like stoked to like get moving on 2023 with him.
You know what I love about Zombie, talking to him about stuff, is I I do a lot of, you know, mixing and matching when I do customs. You know, I don't do a lot of sculpting, but I've long used parts from other lines because I was doing this before we had all these 3D parts. I've really made use of how to cobble together figures to get the look I want. Zombie comes from that same mentality. Zombie has been customizing for so long, and he's taking it so much further than I have. Where, you know, if there's something that he wants that doesn't exist, he cobbles things together that don't go together and then sculpts over them. And, you know, he is truly a customizer when you think about like the extreme of the term. So
Absolutely.
he thinks in terms of like engineering parts and engineering like how things would go together and stuff. And I find that to be very, very refreshing.
Yeah, so I know I told you this. So Zombie, he sent me his mole rat
Yeah.
tunneler troll miner to show at
Yep.
LegionsCon. Sent me the whole custom, wrapped, and I took it out to get a look at it when I got it, make sure it came all in one piece. And
Yep.
I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, this is a toy. Like this is an action figure. This
Yep.
isn't like a piece of art. Yes, it is a piece of art, but this is like a functioning action figure. Like the
Yeah.
way he fits all the pieces together where like you would really fit together an action figure. So like I could easily look at this as being a prototype or even like something you would buy off of the
Yeah.
shelf. And that's what like set it really apart for me and really sparked to me in my brain like how talented he is. Like
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like it kind of,
100%.
yeah,
It
like
has a
it's
toyetic
on me.
feel to it. You look
Yes,
at it and it's got, you can imagine it in that package and seeing the character telling a story just from behind that bubble. Yeah, I mean, Zombie is a toy fan through and through, and it shines through in the work that he does. Nate Strong is actually asking if the
hey,
Zombie kit
Nate.
is available on the site now. It is not yet, correct?
It is not yet. No, it will be. It will be soon. January. Yeah, I mean, I'll get it done before the end of the month. It's just we, I just there were things that we needed to get out before the end of the year that I just really wanted to kind of clean house and like what I'm not looking at comments, so I don't know what's going on. I just wanted to like do some house cleaning for the end of the year. Oh man, put me on the spot. Let me finish my sentence. So and that's why I kind of put the zombie stuff like the skull helm for the cats and the feet, like I kind of put them until January because I needed to get some other parts out. Like
Yeah.
there was some stuff that other people had that I really wanted to get done. So
Yeah.
now that that's done, and I told Eric this, like we're gonna start jamming in January, man. It's gonna be like it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited. I'm feeling now that some of the end of year stuff is behind. I'm getting enthused and I'm starting to sketch again. I'm starting to come up with ideas and figure out what's next. So it's going to be a good year. I'm really, really excited for everything that we've talked about. You know, Cosmic Legions, Figure Obscura, Mythic Legions, all this stuff that's coming down. The community gathering aspects, those cannot be understated. It's I actually had a conversation with Travis today talking about Muskegon, and that's some of the stuff that we were talking about where it almost sounds cliche at this point to keep talking and harping on the community aspect of this, but you genuinely can't talk about what this line is about without talking about the people. you know and the analogy that I used with Travis that I thought made sense is I'm not a sports fan, okay, but I know sports fans bond around a certain team, right? Well, inevitably, any sports team, no matter how good they are, there's going to be a point where they decline because their star players move on, and just the way that sports teams are, built, you generally don't have a team that's good forever. Fair enough. So you get people that bond with a team, and when they're very successful, and then when they become not successful, they bond over the good old days and the fact that they're miserable with watching this team. To me, Mythic Legions and Legions is kind of like that, but the team just keeps getting better. You know, you bond over this stuff, but the toys that you're being given just continue to innovate and get cooler and better, and new people come on to the team to add even more to the company and stuff, and it's really a cool thing to be a part of, both as a fan and on the inside being a part of this.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. I mean, again, not to repeat, but yeah, community is like super important. It's what draws you in. It's what drew me in. It makes you stay because it's like comfortable and everyone is great.
Mhm.
But if I can't stress to anyone enough, like if you can get out to somewhere and meet up with real people in the real world, like do it. Do it. Even if you're just like, let's go have a lunch. Let's have a
Yep.
Legionnaires lunch in the
Yep.
middle of Iowa because you can find people
Yep.
that might want to do it. They'll drive an hour, 2 hours.
Yep.
Meeting the people and making the friends because you already got a common interest. And
Yep.
chances are you're going to have more common interest because let's face it, we're all around the same age, like we're all like around the same. You're going to meet people that are just going to be part of your life and make it better and not so much like behind the screen or a keyboard.
Yep.
You meet real people, go to a show. I know the studio doesn't go to everywhere. We know that they're trying, right? You're trying and you're
We
making
are.
it.
We are.
Go to a show, meet someone, make friends. It's the best thing ever, man. I met so many people in the last 3 years that I don't like that I actually like. I don't like a lot of people, but I like all these people.
Well, that's an interesting point because the amount of people I meet at shows that tell me that they have social anxiety, that what, what is that?
I just needed a drink.
Is that your Christmas present, the glass dragon thing?
Yeah, it's to drink out of.
I didn't know. I just thought it was a statue.
Oh, you fill it with stuff. I just have water in it right now. Merry Christmas. What were you saying?
The amount of people I meet that have social anxiety that go out
Yes.
to shows and they're like, I feel comfortable here. I don't feel, there's a lot of people and they're still like, I don't feel overwhelmed. And obviously, if you do, you can go back to your room, you can find some quiet space and everything to gather your thoughts and take a breath. But that's one of the things that I think is important because I hear a lot of people hesitant to come out to like a LegionsCon because they're very worried that it's going to be too much for them. And what I would say is, in speaking to other people that have shared similar anxieties and concerns, the community is so welcoming, the environment is so welcoming that coming out to something like that ends up being, not only is it not a bad experience, it really does become a transformative experience. I saw earlier, Jesse saying that, the Legions community 100% has changed my life for the better.
Yeah,
That's
Jesse.
that is a common comment that I hear. So I would echo that statement, whether you are attending or assembling a small local meetup, whether you're going to a small local show, or whether you really want to be part of, the big event and come out to like a LegionsCon. 2023 is a great year to make that happen.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be like a Legions focused event that you can get together with people. If you're chances are you collect other toys, just find any toy show, but hook up on the Cabal. Say, anyone going to this toy show? Let's meet up. Let's do lunch. And then you get that network, you get that group, you get that friends, and then you go, and then you go as a group to a bigger show or to a show where the studio is. It's just, I can't stress that enough to like make connections, like real connections in the community. Let's face it, the community is awesome, but there's a couple of jerks, and there's some people that aren't.
Sure.
But I guarantee you, they're not going to shows, and they don't have personal connections, and they didn't go to LegionsCon, or they went, and you get to meet them in real life and realize, oh, this guy's okay. Like this, you know what? He's just a little sarcastic online, and then you're like, oh, he's cool. So like that's another reason, just get out there and meet people, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's hard. I mean, living in this solely digital world, sometimes you get the wrong impression of some people. And quite frankly, I've seen some people, without naming names, who didn't like each other, like digitally, that when they met each other and actually connected, they were like exactly what you just said. They were like, oh yeah, you know what, that person's cool. And now they're like chatting and stuff. And I'm like, that's awesome. The fact that, they were brought together and they found that common ground, that's very, very cool.
Yeah. That's one of the many great aspects of what we're doing. So on that note, not to like plug away, but like we have this group called the Wolf Den.
Yeah, plug away.
It's basically, I hate to say the word, fans of like what we do, but it's really like a customizing community that we grew with the sole intent of, we didn't want to like spam the Cabal constantly with like constant sales, updates, things. When I joined the Cabal, I think there was like 400 people in it, and that's not what it was. So I didn't want to make it something different. I didn't want to like alter the experience I had in the beginning that was awesome to be like a little fouled. So I didn't want to be like one taking part of that. And it's tough because a lot of people like will say like, oh, I didn't know you were doing a free shipping coupon. Like I didn't see it.
Yep.
Yeah, because I'm not like I'm only doing one announcement on one day of the week. Like I'm not doing it. I just don't like that. So we made this Wolf Den group that a lot of people joined, and it's really obviously solely it's focused on customizing because we sell custom parts. So it has a very strong focus of that. And Emil, Steve, Curtis, they really contribute a lot, and they do a lot of like breakout. I want to call it breakout sessions, but like live sessions where you can go into this like room while you're sitting at your like desk painting, and there'll be other guys in there at their desk painting, and you can talk. What is it? What are they called?
No,
What do
I'm
you like?
laughing because the two people that do the least in the Wolf Den are probably are you and I.
Yeah, I know. I know. I no, well, I do lives. I do Len live on Fridays. I missed the last two couple Fridays because of the holidays. I'm gonna start picking them up again, and it's basically me on a Friday afternoon because I
Sometimes
like the
Cookie.
afternoon. Sometimes Cookie, if you're lucky. It's our most watched shows are when Cookie's there. Let me when I do that show and I start like babbling on, I see like the viewers like go when Cookie's there, they're like everyone's like, oh, Cookie. So yeah, I mean it's fun, and it's in the middle of the afternoon, but yeah, I go on tangents. It might not be all Mythic. I might start talking about toys, might talk about paintball, might talk about anything, whatever the conversation goes to.
I got a cool toy today.
What I can't see it. Tilt it.
This is totally not Mythic. This will be a tangent. Uh,
Was it from Up?
yeah,
Up Pops? Oh,
yeah.
that's cool.
They're not pops. They're by Beast Kingdom,
Oh, I think I've heard of that before.
but you can see without the glare, you can see it's Carl and Ellie like sitting in their chairs.
You gonna make me cry?
Yeah, I love
Like,
Up.
like the saddest story ever told.
Up's my favorite Pixar movie.
I
This is
know,
one
but
of those things, you know, when you order something from Big Bad Toy Store and you forget you ordered it, and then like it just hits your pile of loot. Like I shipped my pile of loot and didn't even remember this was in there. So when it came in today and I opened it up, I was pretty delighted.
oh, that's cool. Yeah, I like when that happens. That happens to me a lot too.
Full tangent.
Yeah, no, I talk toys. Like I think the last time I
Yep.
did one, I talked toys too long because people were like, but like I'm grabbing stuff like a pile of loot ship, so I'll get it and show it. And it's a lot of people from LegionsCon like that we
Yeah.
were like talked to,
Yep.
met,
Yep.
and we're still carrying the conversations on. So like that's every Friday. So if you want to, if anyone out there wants to come pop in and join the group, just do the search Wolf Den on the in
Yep.
Facebook and you'll find it. Join, and I know like we're doing another contest soon. Emil, Curtis are doing it and Steven, where you get to do a full character creation for God's Fire, like not just like the sculpt like ideas, but like full character creation from write the biography, draw, sketch up, whatever you want to do for the character, and you get to make your own. And there's going to be like different winners
Yep.
chosen. There's going to be more information that soon, but
Yep.
that's another thing that's going to happen. It's pretty neat.
I'm gonna actually do one too. I haven't announced this yet,
Yeah,
but I talked to Curtis. I am gonna do a live in the Wolf Den. Similarly, I'm gonna do one about character creation. So talking not only about like when I put together customs, how I envision characters and how I create the stories and how, I think some of the decisions that go into creating these characters, that sometimes I don't think everybody thinks about. What kind of weapon they're wielding, you know, tells a lot about that character's personality. It's not just what looks cool in their hands. If you give them a melee weapon like a hammer, that's going to be different than like a short sword is going to be different than a bow. So
yep,
really things like that. So I want to talk through some of those decisions. And interestingly, those are the same decisions that we make at the studio when we put together new figures. So really, it's the exact same thing. What I'm doing for my customs and what we're doing at the studio are exactly the same. So I get some fun stories to tell when it comes to that, and I think that'll be a fun presentation that we'll do in the Wolf Den, and I'll do that with Curtis.
that's going to be great. Yeah,
You have a
it's fun.
contest going on right now with Toy Forge, don't you?
Yeah, Anthony and I teamed up to we got inspired because I think Curtis did the first one where he did like the hashtag I don't remember what it was. Legions 2022.
Yep.
It was basically show like your top 5 to 10
Yep.
legions that customs that you did in one post and tag it.
Yep.
And
Legion Custom
we're
2022.
gonna pick winners, and we're gonna get a wheel, spin it, and hand out some prizes.
Cool.
A lot of people. Awesome part was a lot of people did them without even knowing there was a contest.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people still don't know. So
Yeah.
like that'll be kind of funny, like if someone wins and because that's how like viral it was. Is that the right
Yep.
word?
Yeah.
Organic, where it just kept going on its own. Everyone
Yeah.
saw it, and man, that really that gave the whole community a really nice shot in the arm of like good feelings for like
Yeah. It was nice to see all
look
those
how
posts.
cool this is.
I got to see customs that I don't remember seeing throughout the course of the year where I was like, oh, I haven't
Same.
seen a lot of these.
Yeah, same here. There's a
I,
ton.
I do have a few comments I have to read here. Joe
Yeah.
Vassapolo says, I'm still sorry about our first meeting, Len. However, you helped me get started on my professional toy career by painting for Wolf King. So when we think about
Yeah.
those early days of Wolf King, Joe was one of the earliest painters. And he goes on to say, that wouldn't have happened without really meeting you and the guys in person. So thanks. Of course, Joe is now a full-time member of Four Horsemen Studios. Joe's not only the one who's helping get that stuff shipped to you. Joe's involved in creative as well. Everyone loved those Furious 4 figures. Joe painted all those prototypes, all those wonderful details that the factory captured. That's because Joe did them first. So a little bit of feedback from one of your former Wolf King Customs painters.
Yeah, Joe was awesome because he was on that like initial prototype painting team that we had
Yep.
where I was sending him earlies and he was giving feedback, and he still did some of the best accessory paint jobs that I've seen come through here. He did the turtles, the Acaparo parts, remember?
Yep.
Beautiful job on those.
Yep.
And that power fist hammer that we did.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my story where I met Joe is hilarious, but we'll save that for another time of how I met him.
Very awesome. Well, with that, it is 9:02. These two old men need to get to bed. This is well past our bedtime. I love the fact that you just casually drank it. Like someone said earlier that you treat it like everybody has one of those.
Don't they?
It looks uncomfortable to drink out of.
Well, I think it's a decanter. Like, you would put your like alcohols in it. But because it was shipped, like when my wife got it, she got it for me. It was empty. So I did put it in there. And the funny story is that the first one that she got was broken. One of the ears broke off of it, but it's still functional. So when she contacted them and to tell them, they told her, just keep it. Like, we'll send you another one. We don't want the other one back. So for Christmas morning, I opened 2 of these, and I'm like, "How'd you get me 2 of these?" And yeah, and there's a whole story behind where it came, like the reason for it too. It of course goes to LegionsCon.
Because when I saw, that's what that is.
Yeah. Yep.
So now it's
Yeah.
all
When we
coming around. Now it's kind of when I saw the picture you posted, it was like 2 glass dragons. I just thought it was like, I don't know, some
sculptor,
hippie
like,
dragon stuff or whatever that you were like, oh,
oh,
these are cool glass dragon
no.
statues.
You think I'm gonna have glass dragons with my my nunchucks on the wall and my velvet wallpaper?
I don't know. I mean, possibly.
I imagine that's what like Travis's bedroom looks like, not my living room. No, it's
Uh,
it's a
with that,
wonderful thing.
I'm going to call it an evening. And I do leave you with a little bit of bad news. I will be off next week as well. I will be traveling a little bit, doing some studio stuff. So I will not be sure of what my schedule looks like next Wednesday night. So rather than stress out about it, I'm going to let everyone know right now. I won't be on live next week, but I will be back the week after. Len, anything else you want to say before we go?
No, just I want to like take a personal second to thank all of your viewers. The Mythic Customs community of YouTube watchers. You guys are awesome because like we have a little section at the end of the Wolf King checkout that says where did you hear of us? And man, there are a ton of you that say Mythic Conversations. Tons of you. And I really just appreciate the support that you've given us over the last 3 years. And I love you guys. You're awesome. Every one of you watchers.
So, of course, www.wolfkingcustoms.com. That is where you can get not the products that we looked at tonight that are teasers, although those will be up soon, but the full catalog of products that Len and all of Team Wolf King have worked on for the past few years. All the critters, all the God's Fire, all of Walter's mass custom stuff, the skeletons. There is so much variety in that shop, an incredibly diverse catalog. If you are looking to get into Mythic Legions customizing, there is no better place to start. Thank you all very much for tuning in. I will see you soon. Time to get some fun little outro music.